the finest show of your weekly podcast. This is Battle Beyond the Factoids.
I've got some things I need to talk about with you, Mr. Alex Jones. I've been seeing a whole lot of black-eyed children haunting my local neighborhood. What do you think about this?
This sounds like the deep state conspiracy to turn our children into ghosts.
That's the idea that I had as well. I got done thinking about Brutus the Barber Beefcake's supple body. And then I saw these black-eyed children hanging around on a merry-go-round at my local park that I like to patrol late at night.
This is a very relatable story. Alex Jones has experienced much the same thing. I have heard many stories of these black-eyed children as they spread the liberal conspiracy about conservatives and conservative politics.
Jesus.
All right, this has been the Phantom Zone. This is my first opening bit. I think it did fine. I don't know.
I think it was okay.
It's my first one, so I get a.
It was serviceable.
Yeah.
Serviceable.
It was serviceable. Wow. Okay. Ooh, I'm
1.5
tired of
stars
opening
on Yelp.
bits.
I'm coming out swinging tonight.
The only thing I have to comment is, doesn't one of them live in Mexico now?
I think Jesse Ventura
Yeah,
does, yeah.
I think he lives in Mexico.
Yeah.
I believe it. He does have.
I'm a
place
god
Mexico.
in Mexico.
He doesn't have internet though. He has nothing. He has no electricity.
That's how he stays off the grid.
Yeah.
I hold conch shells to my ears and I hear all.
Yeah. That sounds like him. All right, Phantom Zone. Specifically, CW stuff. Connor will be joining us eventually. When we have no idea, but that will happen.
It'll be a mystery.
Just burst him back into his house.
Yeah, but meanwhile, we will be fighting the Bear from Annihilation, which is the sadness, with CW shows. That was for you, Hunter. That was for you. Help me! Help! So yeah, who is here with us tonight, other than me, Arlen Haro, your temporary host?
I'm here. Hunter Downport's here. Hi, hello.
I'm Erik Fedorchuk, back after a week hiatus.
And I'm Lou Gonzalez, and in Beebo I trust.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yes. I've started to, went to some meetings, and I had to give myself up to a higher power, and it is the Blue God.
Yes,
there you go.
The highest power, as we learned. That's a good segue, actually, into our first topic for tonight, which is Legends of Tomorrow season finale. It's been a long ride.
It's been
Possibly the best season finale in a long time with any of the shows, I think.
I would, yeah. Other than maybe last season of Legends, I still love the season finale for Arrow last year, but this is pretty darn good. Definitely.
It's like different though, because it's so tongue in cheek.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
It's because the Legends season finale last year, they kind of stopped being the same show for their finale. They went really serious with it. Whereas this show, they stayed themselves, but they were still interesting and fun and exciting in the way that they are. So that, I think that's an added benefit. They remain themselves while creating a compelling final hour of television.
Well, I feel like this entire season has just evolved from being, I don't want to say completely serious when I first started watching, because there was definitely an air of goofiness to it, but it wasn't the mainstay of the whole show, to just being like, hey, we've got superheroes, but we're just going to tell a fun story, so let's do this. And it paid off. It paid off week after week after week.
It's a live action cartoon, and I love it.
It's easily, out of all the shows we do, it's my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely the most enjoyable, it's not it's the opposite of depressing. It's just like
Yes.
awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the show where they, I've always said, it's like, if you threw all of when you were a little kid, you took all not your least favorite toys, but the toys that are like your third choice, and those were all you had, and you were on a car ride, that's Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, no, that's actually a very astute point.
So you're just like, well, whatever, this guy can travel back in time, and this guy can... These all combine into this guy. So
And
yeah.
They did such a good job of like callbacks and like bringing characters back from basically every character that's been on the show except for 3
Yes.
in all the seasons have come back. And that's okay. We can leave those 3 way behind. They got a comment for a second.
Not come back. I'm not come back for a reason.
Yeah.
They joked.
Yeah.
I think Roy made a joke about the chicken people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with this episode, like, and I realized obviously I was very wrong, but initially when they said like we need to choose something that's pure of heart, just think of something as pure. When they're like, oh no, I was like, wait, is there going to be a giant version of Stein showing up?
Oh,
Like I just had this vision of a gigantic angry Stein making a
I got the
cameo
total
appearance.
total Ghostbusters vibe.
I mean, here's the thing, they kind of did get Stein in a weird way.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
They got the closest thing to Stein, because Beebo is so tied to that character.
I know, but how great would it have been, like, instead of it being a giant Beebo, it would have been a gigantic Stein.
Oh, I would have
like
loved
just
that too. That
like
would've been
just
the
a
best.
guest appearance that they didn't tell anybody about.
Yeah, I would have been super into that.
That would have been funny. I loved when it was Beebo.
Oh yeah,
Like,
definitely.
and they did. It was totally. I got Ghostbusters, and then when they
Yes.
did like the one move, it was like Gremlins 2 when
Mhm.
when he puts on like the Rambo stuff.
Yes.
Mhm.
I was like,
So
I just
good.
love. It was like me and my wife were literally just like out loud cracking up at how ridiculous and awesome it was to see it jumping around. Like,
Exactly.
Yes, it was the best.
It is probably the funniest part of that. Like, just the idea of Legend of Tomorrow using Beebo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Continued appearance.
Yeah.
Like, and when Beebo first showed up, I feel like everybody groaned. Like in the very first episode, he was very much a character who earned groans. But as he's come up throughout the show and they continue referencing him, I never would have expected that meant that they were going to be using Beebo as the final conclusion to this season. But yeah, like it was done very well. And even though the show is very goofy, it did have some serious moments. Rip.
Well, it's goofy, but it has like heart,
Yeah.
like a ton of heart.
Yeah, like rest in peace, Rip.
Yeah.
I assume that's his like final end on the show. In which case, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I think it's a fitting end.
Yeah.
The only way I can see them bringing him back is if they somehow are allowed to do anything with like blue and gold with Booster Gold, since
Yeah.
I think Rip is technically his son in the books,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
but they're very much not allowed to touch those characters for whatever
Right.
reason.
And maybe a younger version of Rip would be interesting. That would be kind of cool, you know.
I would actually go the opposite. I would love to see like an old, like 60s, like 60-year-old Rip just like grizzled with like
Yeah.
a missing leg.
Yeah.
That could be interesting.
A cybernetic arm and an eye patch.
So he's
Yeah.
Cable.
Yeah.
Oh no, never
I've
mind.
studied all your moves, Sophia.
He's got
But-
techno-organic skin.
Exactly.
I of course I do want Evil Rip back at some point. That's what I really want. more
It
than
was
anything.
definitely that episode showed like how good that actor could be given the right stuff.
Yes. Yeah. But goodbye, Arthur Darville. Hopefully this is not the last we see of you. But we were glad that you were here.
Well, give it about 9 or 10 episodes into the next season, and there'll be a whole world or Earth that's just clones of him.
God damn it.
You know what? I'd be into that.
I
Mhm.
wouldn't mind it either.
Yeah,
There's
Although
only
we
room for
did-
one trench
he's
coat.
not the only guy that got a send off. We got our second send off for Jackson or
Yes.
for Jax.
Yes, we did. And that
Which-
caused some confusion in our chat
Like-
because his name is Jefferson, and another character is also named Jefferson. But yeah,
I would have called him Jax if I was talking about him in the chat.
I know, but still. Whenever even though I say Jax and I will type out Jax, in my head I hear Martin saying Jefferson. So
I can understand that.
So yeah, yeah, that was fun, and like I love that all the characters from before throughout the season came back. I even like Caesar coming back. Even though, and I love that Mick gets to fight him. That was great.
Yes.
I wish he had said something about the salad though.
Although I do think it's funny interesting how many times they had Helena Troy say like the mascara.
Yeah.
I was like every time I'm like, yes, do something.
Well, that was something I was trying to figure out with her costume. Like, all right, I'm fine with the even as historically inaccurate as the breastplate would have been. What was up with like the t-shirt material from her breastplate down to like what would be her skirt?
They used all their budget on Beebo.
The budget.
Like, because at first I'm like, wait, is that supposed to be like her midsection? Is that supposed to be like her abs? No. All right, it's obviously cloth. Like, what are they doing? Like, what are they doing? Because nobody else in Themyscira, in Wonder Woman or Justice League or any place else we've seen them.
We don't know in this CW. Maybe that's like a fashion statement.
It reminded me a lot of like in the Justice League animated series, the way that Amazons dressed when they weren't battle ready. Like when they were just being like casual, and like
they were like sort of toga, like cut off togas.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's what it reminded me most of. But like that, but slightly more battle ready, but not completely necessarily. That's how it felt to me, which is not necessarily good, but I think that's just what they could afford.
Well, that and she seemed to have the most kick-ass of the fights as well.
Yes, she does.
But she's at least trained. Like what? Like they brought back Jackson. I was like. Or Jax, I was like, what is he gonna do?
I don't know.
Yeah.
He just
that was interesting.
Get saved by Wally?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, like, I do like that they called for help, and then everybody who showed up was kind of the right person for that moment, at least.
The one other part I want to mention, I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely loved the flirting between
Jonah Hex.
Jonah Hex, yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, the Confederate soldier and the Muslim woman are hardcore flirting.
That was something I was like, okay, I think his origin is that he's like a Josie Wales type, so he's not necessarily a racist, I guess.
No, he's in the books, depending on the origin, he's never been that. He actually was, I think, raised by a Native American tribe.
I believe he was, yeah.
And I think, depending on the...
It was brought back to get by Native American tribe and had powers to talk to the dead. I've seen the movie. I know how this works.
Oh, that's one version. That's not a good one. That's one half of. That's a half. That's one of those movies that would like had. Did they like film it? Like had to reshoot the entire movie and cut it completely different?
Yeah, I believe so.
Not one in the Lone Ranger.
Yeah, I know. Like in one of his origins, he's like in the tribe, and his like native brother frames him for their father's murder. So he gets like cast out, and they cut his face with the hatchet as like a sign that he was cast out.
Damn.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean,
because that would explain why his face looks melted.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a hatchet to his face. That's always what it is. Is that he gets a burning like a red hot hatchet cut into his
Okay.
face.
Okay.
That makes more sense.
What it is.
Interesting.
That makes
It's
more
either
sense.
He finds corruption in the Confederates, like his officer above him, and then that guy does it, or it's like the natives do it.
Corruption in the Confederacy. I don't believe it.
Who would have ever seen that coming? Yeah, this is a good episode. So should we just vamp until Connor shows up, or should we?
I am kind of glad that Damien is gone.
I am and I'm not, because I really liked the character he turned into in these later episodes. Like, I don't have the baggage from Arrow.
Yeah,
where he
also,
apparently was miserable.
He was really miserable on Arrow.
He's also better in all of Legends than he was in any episode of Arrow, like ever.
Yeah.
Like he's just he
was exhausting
as a character. Well, because the problem with Arrow, and I've said it on here before, is that he wasn't an interesting character. He was really like flat and like a really bad Bond villain.
He was Mohaha, I'm going to take over the world, mustache twirl in a not ironic way.
Exactly. Whereas with last season and this season, he just developed so much as a character, and he became so much more interesting. Where it's like, well, you know, if he did come back, or if he showed up like in Arrow season 7, I would not be against that, because there would be all this baggage from Legends now. But I don't want that either. Really, like, I would like him to come back again, maybe as another sidekick, but I don't know how many times he can be the sidekick to another villain before that becomes like, okay, you're hurting the character now, and now he's not even scary or interesting.
Yeah. There's the only two other things I have on this show, which one is I really like the Adam and I don't know, Daughter Dark.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually married in real life.
Yep.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, we had talked about that in a prior episode.
I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, so it's like when they have their chemistry, it's actually like pretty funny.
Yeah.
Like when they do stuff. And then going back to the penultimate episode, oh man, I lost what I was gonna say. Was that not the greatest? That they went back in the whole Lord of the Rings thing was one of the funniest things I've ever seen any TV show do. It was so meta.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they're talking about how do we do this, and Nick is just in the other room watching the Two Towers.
Yes. Yeah, that was pretty good.
I love how Mick is like constantly absorbing media. Like he's some dude who's like always like he's either reading like Dracula or like watching Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. His arc this season is fascinating also.
My only explanation is it's something the Time Masters did to him when they kidnapped him and turned him into some other shitty villain for like.
Yeah. Oh God, I forgot about that.
So he's technically like several years older than he was when they first picked him up.
It just occurred to me, Lord of the Rings plays into the finales of both seasons of Legends of Tomorrow so far. Well, the good ones at least. In that they went back in time and met J.R.R. Tolkien in the last season. And this season, they went and they got John Noble, which is pretty great. This is a good finale, I guess. Like we've said this before, it's harder to talk about the good ones. It's much harder.
They know what they are and they do it well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. Should we vamp? Should we?
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. I guess this is something we can talk about. What would we want next season to be, other than what we already know or what we can already assume? Outside of that, what would we want it to be?
Definitely more into the crazy.
I feel like they're gonna do that. Definitely.
I need more.
If we're gonna go full crazy, I would like to see Etrigan.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna go magic, I want to see like let's do a head dive, like go right in balls deep.
Well, just do. I mean, they did a whole episode of Arrow that was the Suicide Squad. Just do a whole episode of Legends that's the Justice League Dark. Bring in Swamp Thing, do Zatanna for an episode. Have it cut off from the rest of the show. You follow Constantine for an entire episode, sort of leading his own team. The episode does well.
I feel
do
like
that
next
as a
season
show.
could be a backdoor like pilot almost for like a Justice League Dark show.
Yes.
Because instead of the ship, you just have the House of Mystery instead of the ship, and it's the same thing.
Right. I've always said, the House of Mystery is basically the TARDIS. It acts the same way, and that's the way that they used it in the book. And there's no reason not to bring that back and do a Justice League Dark show. The only reason not to is it might be too similar to Legends, which I get, but also
it also might be too expensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
because like Swamp Thing would be so hard to do on the budget.
Yeah, Swamp Thing would blow their entire budget.
Yeah, that's why I would. And here's the thing: I know like purists would be like, "No, you can't do that," but like, have him able to turn back into Alec. They're like, that's my solution. Like,
yep,
he's like the Hulk or what, like he can turn back into Alec if he needs to, because that makes more sense and that costs less money. So
they could do the same thing with Etrigan, and I can't remember, was it like some Blood is who he is?
Jason Blood.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And you could have a whole story for Alec be like he can't turn into the Swamp Thing. Like he's having a hard time doing it. Like that could be his whole arc.
Oh, well, that could be the plot of the whole season, is that he's lost his connection to the Green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be great.
No, that would actually work really well.
You could have all these supernatural characters have that. You could have it be Zatanna can't use her magic, Etrigan can't change, Dead Man is like turned back into a person or whatever.
Or he's just stuck in someone that he doesn't want to be stuck in.
Right.
That would be the part that would be that would work.
Yeah, that would be Shades of the Flash then too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's a show that people are stuck in and they want to get out of.
Yeah. And iVampire, well, he doesn't need to be there, but he can, because whatever.
Well, what about the Detective Chimp though?
Oh yeah.
Detective. Well, there's other characters. They've had Black Orchid.
Yeah, Black Orchid's cool. Black Orchid's, and especially if they get another. I mean, even though Animal Man never joined the JLD, put him in there. Just put him in there.
I agree. I am a fan of Animal Man. I think he's like one of the most underutilized characters, and he was one of the best New 52 books.
He really
yes. Well, I feel like just nobody knows how to use him properly. Like you need to get a real, for lack of a better term, auteur.
Yeah.
Well, the best part of him is that he's an actor, so he has that like goofy, douchey Johnny Cage-ness of him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and he can sort of break the fourth wall, maybe, or not the fourth wall, but
what he is, he's like a depowered Beast Boy in kind of a lot of ways.
Yeah. And Alec have a pre-established relationship that you can play on. So.
Yeah, well, I'm just envisioning Animal Man and Mick having a discussion at multiple times and then playing off each other.
Animal Man is like a direct replacement for Vixen. Like they have almost the exact same power set.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I mean, Vixen got started in Animal Man, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, her connection is to the Red, or just through the Talisman when he is just part of the Red.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and when Titans premieres, we'll talk about that much later. Probably on a different episode.
Are they going to have their own version of Brother Blood?
Oh, that's a good question.
That guy, which is funny, that guy plays like a fourth character on Lucifer now, and it's so weird to see him. Yeah, he's literally called Detective Douche. Like that's all Lucifer refers to him as. He's his partner's ex-husband.
He's come so far from True Blood.
Yeah.
Wow, I think we ran out of vamping.
Yeah, I think we did.
All right. You guys talk, and I'll see if Connor's ready.
I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
For next season, what would you think? So like, Constantine shows up, and he's like, "All right, so you opened up a doorway, and other things came out. What would be the big bad? That's
Trigon.
House." Oh, that's a good pick.
I don't think they will because of the Titans show.
Yeah, Titans.
No, they won't.
Titans throws.
What I was thinking was like to deal with time as well as Morgan Le Fay.
Oh, that could be good. That could be really good,
that
actually.
Would set up our JLD idea.
Yeah, because I go back to that Justice League episode where it's like with Morgan Le Fay and you have Etrigan and you have I can't remember the kid's name.
Is it not
Which boy?
No, it's
Who?
It's Mordred, isn't it?
Mordred, yes, it's Mordred.
It's King Arthur's son, yeah.
But
the one he had with his half sister.
Yeah, it's magic and time travel.
Yeah. That could actually work really well. I didn't even think about that.
There's other characters in there. It's like was it Golden Knight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Enchantress. Is it Enchantress? The one who she has purple hair. She was in the Grant Morrison JLA run. I can't remember her name.
I don't know. They've changed her.
Yeah, Enchantress. She is. I think that is.
Can they use her because she was that garbage in Suicide Squad?
I don't know if she'll. I don't know if she'll be in another one though. I don't know if they'll use her again. with all
will
the
they
heat
They
that
make
she got.
another one, or will Warner Brothers have to sell off parts?
Well,
Yeah.
well, no, like if they make another one, I don't think she'll be in it, because nobody liked her in that movie. Like I can't name a single person who's like, Enchantress was the best part of Suicide Squad. That's never been said. That
Sure they
sentence.
exist. I'm sure they exist.
They exist, but like compared to who's the fire guy? What's his? I can't remember his name.
El Diablo.
Like more people want El Diablo to come back. I
Hell
I
yeah.
agree.
Well, El Diablo makes more sense from like a financial standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking as someone who is Hispanic, that was definitely a big reason why people of that background would go see a movie, is seeing somebody starring in that movie that's Hispanic.
Right.
What do you?
Yeah. And also,
I know that other places have talked about that, but like that's why he's very prominently featured in a lot of the advertising.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, he turned into a fucking fire god Aztec
It was pretty sweet.
demon at the end, which is that was so cool. But it was like, oh, he's related to Enchantress in some way. Clearly, that's what they're saying, and that's not in the movie at all. But it's there.
Yeah, that's too much good writing.
Yeah, that would be like smart, so to like connect them in some way. But
Well,
no,
then they'll never do it.
no. 'Cause-
Well, a character for the big bad for the next season, the Time Trapper. Have they dealt with him at all?
no, I don't think so.
I mean, he was a Legion villain, but still, like
Right.
he's based. You know, he's a time-based master and supervillain. So I mean,
Yeah.
why not throw somebody like that in?
Yeah, that could be something. Yeah, there are some interesting picks. I guess they could do. I mean,
Yeah.
they could do. This is in the Forever Evil, the Justice League Dark part. Didn't they unleash like the 7 deadly sins or something?
Yes,
like
that was the really bad Pandora storyline.
Yeah, that was the very beginning of New 52, if I remember correctly.
I think so.
And
Yeah, they were trying to put the things back in the box. It was not good.
Yeah, it wasn't good, but that's something like they could.
That was
use that
actually
better.
that was the worst part of that storyline.
Yeah, I mean,
Well-
there were a lot of bad parts of Forever Evil, but yes, I agree.
Well, Hunter, you might be able to answer this, or even you, Lou. With the Hellblazer comics, I can't remember the name of the demon that Constantine had the blood of in his system.
Oh,
What is his
It's
name?
not Neuron, because Neuron's another like
They
big
actually-
bad. Like,
they did that in the show, in the NBC show. That was like
oh,
the
they
season,
did.
That was the season finale, I believe.
Okay, I wasn't
Uh,
sure if they already touched on him.
Holy
yeah.
fuck! There's a lot of pictures in this chat. Holy shit!
yeah.
Jesus
The
Christ!
man has arrived. We were just talking about what we want next season of Legends to be. So, if you want to jump in on that.
I mean, if it's them fighting more fucking demons with John Constantine, then fuck yeah, give it to me.
Oh, it's Negril. Negril is the name of the demon that Constantine had the blood
Watch
of
your-
in the Hellblazer comics. Hey,
Fuck,
no,
Mouth.
I'm just talking about Negril.
Calling the police.
PC police.
Hey, as someone who is like 6% black, I give you a pass.
Okay, thank you. I
Don't say
appreciate
that.
it. Well, I've got a lot of things to say, but
My roommate once convinced a girl who worked in the kennels at my hospital that I was half black. So does that count?
Ooh.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess am I the one that makes the ruling?
I mean, in a very Schrodinger's cat type of situation, it does, I guess. I mean,
Until you take a DNA test, there's no way to prove it.
I'm not
Yes.
not half black.
Your last name is McGraw. Like,
Well,
my
I
last
mean-
name
So
is-
you could be you
I
could
mean,
find out a crime.
if anybody's read not forensic anthropological articles from 1890, you might find some things about the Irish and how they were described that might support this hypothesis. So yeah.
So are you talking about the Moors? Are we going to that movie?
No, because if the Irish were called what was it? I'm not going to say this out loud. You have to look it up. But the Irish were considered subhuman, like
Yeah.
below
Every-
humans. but
That's happened throughout
black
history
people?
for every single race that's not English.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and specifically high up English.
Right,
Yeah.
but they specifically used a term for black people for the Irish. Like, they went that far as taking a
'Cause, I mean,
term for one race and applying it to another race. Which
I mean,
wasn't
I've
the
heard the term Black Irish before, and I knew it was a derogatory term.
It's kind of. Isn't it have to do with someone who's like not a ginger Irish, like who has like black hair and
Yeah,
dark eyes?
case. Yeah.
maybe.
fuck.
I don't
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I'm Polish as a motherfucker, so I don't know anything about anything.
I am very not white.
Yeah,
and my wife
your
is
last
Polish.
name is just made of lots of consonants.
Yeah, a few Z's and a few C's in there too. So, yeah.
Yeah, Eric's
It's like
like a
Nordic people.
made-up country.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
comic book.
yeah. It's like someone rolled all bad letters in Boggle.
Gotcha. Yes. All right.
It's like, that's not a name, that's a bad Scrabble hand.
Yes.
It'd be worth 3,040 points though.
All right, let's go backwards a little bit. Connor, like general thoughts, I guess, on the Legends finale.
I mean, I fucking watched a demon get his ass beat by a blue stuffed animal.
I know, it was great. It was so good.
This episode was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a great payoff.
That's a good place to end Legends, I guess. So
Yeah.
if you want to take
I
that
mean,
lead.
it's. I'm actually not a fan of the Western episodes of Legends for some reason.
Huh.
I always find them to be kind of like ho hum.
Right.
I also think it's because I think the Jonah Hex actor and makeup are kind of shit.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't a huge fan of his makeup.
And for some reason, like more so than others, every time they go to the Wild West episodes, like it looks and feels like some of the worst Star Trek holodeck episodes.
Oh, it's absolutely like a borrowed set
Yeah.
from something else.
Well,
Yeah.
it's the same set that they shot like.
Yeah. It's only that
episodes
one
of-
street.
Yeah.
That's what's hilarious. It's one street and there's the one bar and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's this old like aging set up in Vancouver from like an old Western show. From like
Which explains
way
why
long
they
ago.
keep going back to the same Western town so often that they've seen a turnover of sheriffs.
Right. Yeah.
But aside from that, like next year, I wouldn't be surprised if Jonah Hex kind of joins the cast because it seems like this is what they're doing.
Yeah.
I would be so into that.
Yeah,
That would be
cool.
fine.
Especially if him and Zari get together. Like I did think their relationship was kind of sweet, so that would be interesting.
It's definitely it's interesting.
Yeah.
And him and watching him and Mick drink would be hilarious.
Yes.
So every
Yes.
episode.
I just want a
Yes.
shot of them two just staring at each other, and they're just like empty bottles all over the place. And like Ray and Nate are in the corner, and they're just staring. And Sarah walks up and she goes, "What's happening?" It's like they've been at this for hours. Nobody's even broken a sweat.
Well, I just like Mick, being that he has no couth, just being like, "How'd that happen to your face?"
I got burned. That's
Well, I would love to see like an episode where they're just drinking and comparing scars because Mick's
Yes.
body's all burned up, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
They kind of shy away from that, but yes, that is true. Yeah. All right. What are we doing now? I don't know.
Black Lightning, I think, was next.
Yeah.
one of the shows I fell asleep during.
God damn it.
Oh,
Hold on. It's not an indictment of the episode. I was just very tired. I was trying to cram a lot of TV watching into one sitting, and it just didn't work out.
I feel like the last 3 episodes of Black Lightning, you've been like, I don't remember any of this. What I do remember was good, but I don't remember much
Right.
of it.
It's been a lot
Yeah.
of setup.
Good.
It has been.
It has been. I really liked some of the things we learned in this episode, especially
Mhm.
like the Lala
Definitely.
thing. I was like, ooh,
The Lala thing was
Yeah.
weird that he's like the Winter Soldier now. Like
yeah,
Yes.
he's a Manchurian candidate.
Yes. Yeah. I thought that was I thought that was really interesting, but all right, so fine, he's Manchurian candidate, cool. How did you bring him back to life,
I don't
and
know.
how does he have these weird tattoo powers now?
Green light.
Fucking Tobias is like, fuck, I don't know.
They just took green light and jabbed it in his heart.
Seriously, does he just have a pump in there, like an insulin pump? It's just
Yeah,
green
boy.
light?
But he also has like, I think that in the previous episode with the gun, I think that has to do with his powers too. When like he let the guy like fire like 2 shots and they were both like didn't work, and then he took the gun and shot him in the chest.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
And the ghost asked him,
After he
like,
ripped his ear off.
He's like, oh, how'd you know it wasn't gonna shoot? And he's like, I didn't.
Oh,
Damn.
Yeah, I didn't even connect that. You're right. Yeah, I don't know. Lala is an enigma for this season.
Yeah, they're setting him up to be like a big part of season 2, and I'm into it. I'm very into it.
Yeah, I mean, he went from being a one-note villain to all of a sudden being this really weird, like, Lynchian, for lack of a better term, monster.
Through Twin Peaks shenanigans, he's this secondary villain.
Yeah.
Well, he's the only one that's like him and Whale, the only ones that are interesting, because otherwise you have like silent assassin white girl and angry old white man,
Right?
just slamming and yelling.
Which with the what's her face? Is her name Cyanide? Something
Right.
like that.
Something
It's
like
cyanide,
that,
yeah.
So at the point where she and Thunder were fighting in the school, like they focused on the cut she had on her arm. What was going on there? Like
I thought
it
she
looked
was like cybernetic.
Yeah, that was
was
the
green.
impression I got. Yeah.
It was green underneath, yeah. Or she like a reptile elitist.
Oh,
Oh,
I didn't,
yeah.
I didn't
I
see
want
that.
to know about David Icke is a man who's full of shit. No, like that was the thing that struck me as really odd because they showed that and they made it seem like, oh, this is important, and then they didn't say anything else about it.
Right. Yeah, that was interesting. Also, so we should talk about Khalil, or I'm going to call him
Predator.
Khalil. That works too. Mini Killmonger, though.
Yeah.
He was. He's interesting. I love the explanation.
I don't mind the things like how they play him off and like talking, because that's kind of like, I guess to me, like I looked at it like I don't know how you guys aren't really big sports people, but like that kind of stuff happens, not like a paralyzed, but like, oh, you're in high school, you're this big superstar, and you blow out your knee, and then no one gives a crap about you. So I kind of really enjoyed his like pissed offedness and everything.
Yeah.
It's like it's like, oh, all of a sudden I'm not good for her. Like I can't do anything for everybody. So no one visits me. Where are you, Mr. Jefferson? Like when did you visit me in the hospital?
Well, I mean, don't also downplay the fact that Whale was whispering in his ear all this terrible shit.
Yeah.
But like I get his anger at everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
well,
I like
he's
that
not
part.
wrong. He's not wrong in being angry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, not at all.
He's not, he has righteous anger.
he does.
Mhm.
It's just weird that he
And-
disappeared for so long, and then he just suddenly.
Was this the
came
guy?
back.
Wait, Khalil's the dude who got shot, right?
Yeah, so
The one who was
he's
paralyzed.
Paralyzed.
But he
Yeah.
disappeared for like 7 episodes.
He disappeared for the whole fucking season.
It's a
He-
little weird.
He's Stranger Things episode 7.
God damn it. Yeah, but we didn't see it, so it's better.
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing. Like when the ASA guy, I guess he was, like said like, oh yeah, I finished that project you were working on to Whale, and Khalil walked out. I'm like, who's that? Like,
Yeah,
who's that?
I took me a second, like, what if it
Yeah.
had been like a Android version of, what was her face, Lady Eve? That would have been way,
Yes.
made way
But
more
she still
sense.
had
But
she still had the chewed up dog toy face.
Mhm.
No, she walks in looking exactly like Mecha Freezer from Dragon Ball Z.
Yes, her arm is that wand that she was sticking in that one person in that episode.
Yeah. But she shows her dad too, and he's just named Father Eve.
Yes.
Which on the subject of Whale, like this was the first, like at least for me this season, the first time I've really seen him in really good light, like when he was talking with the ASA agent, and he's just an interesting looking guy. Like there's actors out there who you're just like, oh wow, they're interesting to look at, but Whale like is just, the actor playing him is just a really fascinating person to look at. Like just, I don't know, just everything about him, it's so interesting. Go ahead, Luke.
Yeah, he's huge and he's imposing, but that albino thing, because it's real.
Yeah.
It's like this aberration. And when he's talking to that guy, if he like the close-ups on his face, like you can see his eyes twitching where he's like trying to control the rage of, I just want to smash this dude's face in. And he even says, he's like, I've never met you, so I just decided to be polite.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just he's such a good choice for a villain, and I have to give nothing but props to the casting for him.
Yeah.
Because I mean, as far as I know, this is only like his second role ever.
Yeah, he was like some backup rapper behind Exhibit or something, right?
Yeah, he was part of some crew that ran with Exhibit, and like he still apparently does stuff with production and hip hop. But yeah, like
And Pimp My Ride.
Yes.
But the thing that's interesting about that character, because if you follow the plot, he's like 70 years old, something like that. Because he was in his like, what is he like? You would say he's in his late 30s in the show. Like,
yeah. So
and he was in his late 30s, like when Jefferson was 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, that leads to a problem I have, which is his powers, if we're to understand, were also caused by green light. Which is why I'm a little bothered by, like, why don't you just study him? Is it because you want to dissect somebody? Is that
well? No,
why?
his powers weren't caused by green light; they were caused by the experimentation on the town.
Yeah,
the same things that gave Black Lightning his powers.
Yeah, so his powers aren't complete.
I'm sorry, Eric, I misheard you. I thought you said that he got his powers from the allegations.
Well, no. God damn it. God damn it. Wow. God, wow.
No, we were talking about T.J. Miller, though, before the show.
Yes, we were.
Oh my god, I got water on my fucking computer.
So there's movie jail, and then there's, like, federal prison.
Yeah.
Ew, wow.
Yeah.
So he's getting transferred from one to the other.
Oh, boy. But
anyway.
yeah, no, that with the point about him being like 70 something or at least close to it. Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And like Arlen was saying, like, yeah, he doesn't have, I guess, what would be a full power set because of him.
I don't know. He's super strong and he's like indestructible. It seems.
I don't think he's super strong. Like he's just big. Like he hasn't done it. Like he fought that MMA guy fight, and he wasn't doing anything. Like if you're, I don't know, was he like 6'5", 6'7"? Like you could just choke people.
I don't know. He kind of crushed a guy's spine at one point. Like, I don't think
he's just like strong. I don't think he's super strong. He doesn't have healing powers. Like you saw him in this episode. He's all burnt up.
He was burnt up, but I think the blast the Black Lightning gave him would have killed most other people.
I guess for me, I think he'd be more interesting if he just doesn't age. Like if that's it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. If he has like whatever the serum was that Nick Fury took in the Marvel comics that kept him young for so long, I can't remember.
Infinity serum.
Yes.
Yes. Vandal Savage.
Yeah.
His like superpower is like I'm just gonna live forever.
I think his power is really he's just resilient. Like if it's
Vandal Savage can heal. Like he literally cannot die. While Whale like just doesn't age.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, like it's hard to hurt him. Like I think if you shot Whale point blank in the chest, it wouldn't do the same thing that it would do to another guy of a similar size who's just...
I don't see it. I was thinking of him being like, if he doesn't age and he's just working out like a madman for like all these years, he's just master yoked.
Yeah, I don't... Because also, like, Jefferson really did think he killed him. That's what leads me to this.
Yeah.
Jefferson...
Well, we still haven't seen what he did to think he killed him. And also, Whale thought he killed Jefferson, too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you have a power set that's like Black Lightning's and you're pretty sure you killed someone, I'm imagining what you did was pretty damaging to like a mortal.
Yeah.
I mean...
But here's my question. If that woman is his sister, how old was she? And if that guy was...
I'm guessing much younger. Much younger.
Well, quit driving logic trucks through this show, damn it.
Yeah, they don't have the budget to follow up on that.
Maybe they just forgot. Like I don't know. Like it's just confusing.
Again,
we'll take the John Cena excuse, which is doctors hook her up.
Speaking of confusing, so what's going on with Jefferson and his ex-wife?
I don't know. I'm very confused at this moment.
I think he got offended that she would try to like cure the daughter, seeing as
but he didn't let her get a word in edgewise. Like she said, like, well, yeah, I was talking to her about that's who she is, woman, and then he runs off, and that was
Jefferson is very passionate. Okay.
I think it's also their history. Like they broke up because she couldn't handle him and his powers,
Mhm.
like in dealing with it.
Yeah, it's a raw
get
nerve
that.
for him, I think.
But I mean, things have turned around, like the way that Thunder and her mom were talking, and
right.
and he was giving her the big electric D earlier. So I just
I thought he was doing the Dr. Manhattan.
Well, God damn it! Remind me. I think you've seen it more recently than I did. Did they make up at the end of the episode or not? Because I don't remember.
No.
no.
So I
They
feel
don't
like
see
they
each other.
will.
I think they will. I mean, they were. Well, no, because
No, the place is just going to get attacked. That seems like what it is.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he's gonna wake up at some point, right? Like he's not gonna. It's not gonna
Well, no,
be
he's-
Thunder on his.
he's
on
he's
his-
awake again
Yeah.
because his other daughter came in and basically defibrillated him back to
Right.
life.
Mhm.
I remember that part, but in the cabin, is he awake or is he resting? I can't remember.
He's
Yeah.
awake, but I think he's laying down.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. And I do like that they're setting it up for like a castle defense like ending type of thing.
Well,
hmm
I feel like all this what we're going to see is I can't remember what the younger daughter's name is. She's just annoying, but whatever her name is.
Yeah.
Jennifer. Yeah.
Yeah, she's just going to be like, all right, she's just going to turbocharge him.
Yeah.
hmm
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she's the most powerful, I think, out of the three.
Yeah, because
If I remember from the books.
I think if we're to understand right, like she could probably amplify other people's abilities, specifically
Well,
Jefferson's.
yeah. Like the mom said, like if Jefferson is a battery, so he's pulling energy and storing it and like pushing it out, she just generates energy. She's like a sun.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Again, as usual, we can't really go that much longer because it's so good. Unless there was something that was like bad, like real bad, that anybody noticed.
The only thing that I don't know if I like or not is the vice principal storyline.
I don't like that storyline at all.
I don't-
because she also disappeared, just like Khalil did.
It makes sense. I'm glad that because they were setting up for her to be like a love triangle thing, and I'm glad that he didn't do that. But like, I kind of like that she's the mole.
I do
but
like
I also-
that.
Yeah.
But they've done
makes
nothing to
sense.
set her up, I guess. Like, they've done nothing to really make that important, I guess. Like, I'll use the Arrow example. Adrian Chase being revealed as Prometheus was important because by that time we cared about him as a character and we were kind of rooting for him and like we thought he was one of the good guys.
I get that, but Agent Chase was a district attorney. She's the
Right.
vice principal of like high school.
Yeah, they can do more to make her interesting though. Like they can make her an important character.
He literally treats her as his secretary like the
Right.
first two episodes.
Yeah, he does.
They do nothing really to make her interesting, and more than just a character who was set up to be the mole later on. They do nothing to make her a complex, interesting
But The
secondary
only thing
villain.
I hope we can get like a scene where like it's brought up as like how can you sell out your own people? 'Cause at least with Whale, we kind of built up to this fact where he really doesn't like black people for
I was
No,
the way
he-
of saying it.
Yeah, Whale out of his own mouth said, "I don't like black people."
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, he said he doesn't like a very specific kind of black people.
right. Yeah, that's like the Chris Rock bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
So like with her, like it doesn't. That part is like, how does she deal with the fact that she's literally like selling out her people and children?
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Like
think
that
that.
paycheck has to be like real big.
Mhm. I think she might not get unveiled until next season.
Yeah.
That's what
That's
I'm
what I think.
guessing. I think she might. I think they might do more to her character in the next season.
I think she's
Also-
gonna
also,
she'll take over for the old guy.
I want to bring this up before we get into the back half of CW stuff this week. Hey, everybody else! You know what's a great length for a season? About 13 episodes.
Yeah, we
Yep.
found this out. 13 to 17 episodes, really good, really
Pretty
strong.
fucking good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
glare at you really hard right now, Flash. I'm glaring at you very, very hard because my feelings are hurt.
Yeah. Same.
Filler episodes do nothing but cause boredom and disinterest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless they're
Anyways,
better than the main storyline. Anyways,
Yeah.
moving on
Yeah,
to some
yeah.
of those shows.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
Flash time.
So yeah, moving on to Arrow, which I actually really liked this episode, but okay.
This is my favorite episode of the season. So
Yeah,
far.
same.
The only reason I ranked it so low is because I couldn't really pay attention to the
Right.
episode.
Yeah. You have reasons for it, so.
Yeah, I know I had this over Black Lightning.
For me, like Arrow has just it's like Paul Atreides' litany on fear. It's flowing over and through me. Like Arrow, it's not doing anything for me.
Really? Okay.
These last couple episodes have just been kind of like
okay. So
Yeah, there's the last couple and this one. This one is different.
We didn't get to talk about last week. I actually really liked last week. I don't remember
okay.
why.
All right. I want to say something about last week. I think here's the thing. I'm of two minds of this because I am sick to death of this petty teen drama
Right.
that they have seemingly manufactured like out of nowhere to fill in the fact that they're not fucking using their villains.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
these villains just go away for episodes at a time.
I agree.
And Richard Dragon's over in the corner like, I'm going to start a fight club and hang out in the corner and wait for Oliver Queen.
Yeah,
This
but
is
that's
gonna be
cool
a lot
though.
of
So
fun.
like,
He is cool though. But
I really
the-
liked that though.
the
The way
acting
they did it.
between Stephen Amell and I don't know his name.
I can't remember his name either. Which is yeah.
Yeah, I should know his name. That was their argument
It's so
was
good.
some of the most like painful and like stinging
Mhm.
bars between two of them, and it was the best acting I've ever seen those two ever
Yes,
put on.
definitely.
Yeah, the problem is that compared to like the other split, like it doesn't make any sense. Like at least
Well, no,
the
this
other
one
split,
makes more sense though. I think.
Oh, I don't think so. I think the other one, at least they felt betrayed that they were getting spied on, and Renee was like a traitor. Like in this is just like, I think that you're a shitty leader. Peace out.
Here's the thing. I thought that they were completely in the wrong, despite the fact that they had some good points. With this one, it's like Diggle has every right to leave right now. I completely support him saying "fuck you," kind of like. I'm on Diggle's side on this, which is why I don't think the
I'm on
previous
Diggle's
one
side.
worked.
I just don't see why. Like there was no catalyst.
That is a problem I'm having too.
No, and that's part of the problem. The teen drama, like it bubbled up out of nowhere and crescendoed immediately.
Well, no, we know why it's here now, though. Like, we know now why. Because they wanted these last few episodes before the team does inevitably come back together in the last minute, because that has to happen.
Sure, they will. At
They
this
wanted-
point, I think Renee has been ragman.
Right.
Yeah, I think so.
Well,
and I'm fine
he's
with
gonna
it.
come back in the finale, because did you notice that wasn't him in the suit? That was clearly a stuntman, and they were dubbing his voice
God.
in. Because
Because he was
Schedule
7
is-
feet tall.
on a
And that actor's
bed.
schedule is real. Is real short.
Well, and no, I think what Connor's saying is exactly why like Arrow has just been kind of like to me recently, because it's just been such manufactured drama and like
It's been more CW than it has been in a
Mhm.
very long
That's true.
time.
But I feel like for the
Like-
last few episodes, it's been more in the background, though, which is why it's been bearable. But I see what you mean. Like, it is annoying. Very annoying. But
But then this episode,
like this episode, it's barely there at all. And I feel like I get why they were going towards this direction of, okay, let's bring Oliver back to basics. Let's do that. But I don't know why you don't just do a whole season like that.
yeah.
Like, just do a... But, and here's the thing, and this is something I thought of, and it's something I haven't thought of since Season 5 wrapped up, is this is the first season that they're doing without flashbacks, which was one of the things...
Hey, we called that.
Yeah, I mean, we all did, and they announced it. Like, they're not doing flashbacks, so they're kind of having to make a different show than before.
they have to fill an extra 10 minutes every episode.
Yeah, it was like half and half, though, sometimes.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, definitely.
It was like, wow, this episode's 30 minutes of the island and then 10 minutes
Yeah.
of the city.
Especially season 3.
Yes, definitely. Well...
Wait, was that Roz? Whichever one had Roz. That
Roz,
was
yeah. That
like... Yeah.
that was painful. But like season 2 works because it is half island, half city almost. Like, so like it hurt the show, I think, losing the flashbacks because they couldn't depend on that to sort of help, not fill time, but they had to focus more on making 23 full episodes.
Yeah, you hear that length?
Yeah, instead of making basically 2 shows at the same time that were fairly well sized, they had to make this huge show for the first time, really. So yeah, I give them some credit for doing as well as they have with that knowledge, but it's still like, can you guys do better maybe though? Like, can you maybe do a better job than you're doing right now? Because this is
I'm holding on to those barbs for the next subject.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is that they're gone too deep into this Arrow is Batman, where it's like, oh, he can't play with others, and like they just are deep into this. He's our Batman, and they're too Batmaning him and making him too much that, and it's like, that's not who this guy is.
I mean, that ship sailed a while ago, but
yeah,
yes.
I know.
Yeah.
But they kind of got away from it, like the last season.
Well, they got away from it, and then they went back to it. Like, I think, what was it, a season and a half ago? Like, Oliver was like, killing is bad. We shouldn't kill anymore. By the way, I totally killed that guy, and I fucking loved it.
Yeah, they kind of need to make up their
30
mind.
arrows into this one guy.
I
was super into it.
I got right. I sat on Damien Dark's chest, and then I stabbed him.
It's the only way I can finish.
God
he
damn
only
it.
killed like 17 cops this episode.
Right. Yeah, here's the thing. I loved that, though. Like,
yeah, actually, I loved that he went back into the OG suit. I was
did
like,
too.
oh, that's awesome.
And like when him in the OG suit showed up, it was like the Dark Knight Returns, where he was like, "You forgot the mission. This was the mission."
You mean he went crazy for a few minutes?
Well, yeah, like it's
Yeah.
exactly the same speech as the Dark Knight Returns, just slightly less well written.
It was kind of Daredevil-y with like their shot, although not as good. I just have one question: how do you shoot someone with a bow and they slam into a like tile wall and it shatters the tile?
I don't know.
I've been
understand.
I've been having questions like this since Crisis on Earth X, when Oliver Queen was shooting ninjas through entire walls with one arrow.
I have an explanation.
That you can do if you have like the pounds like on a bow, like 90 pounds.
Recurve. Yeah.
Or not even a recurve, like a compound.
Compound, yeah.
Yeah, because from listening to like Rogan, I listen to his podcast. He has hunters on. There's like a guy who uses 90 pounds, and he can go through an animal and then into a tree and through the tree. Because for some reason he uses like that high. Yeah. But it's the hitting someone, it doesn't go through them, and they just like fly into a wall. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Well, it's also with Connor pointing out, and I've said it multiple times before, it's the ninjas that were on that episode were from the Balsa Wood prefecture of Japan. So,
obviously.
I disagree with you. I have a different theory. We never saw them after arrows hit them because they were too busy going
and
deflating.
Helium. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Are you just trying to segue into Flash?
Wow,
nice.
It was accidental, but yes.
Very good.
I wasn't, and trust me, healing him. Fucking Null is not the worst part of this episode.
Okay. So before we go there, I really liked Arrow this week. That's it. That's the last.
Yeah,
of it.
same. We got to see Adrian Chase again, and he was just as good.
Yes, I liked him a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for me real quick. It's not that I disliked Arrow. I'm just indifferent towards it right now.
Right, I understand that. I get it. So, all right.
So, dear one of my favorite show on television, dear the show I told lots of people to watch or still watching, and are only getting through season 3 now, and I'm gonna have to write out long thought out apologies to all these people.
Wait a minute, you're gonna have to write out apologies now?
Well, they're working through season 3, and I'm like, I'm sorry, season 3's bad. And at the time, I was like, season 4 is not done yet, so I don't have an opinion for you. But like, those people are probably gearing up to season 4, and I'm gonna have to like jump in front of the bullet for them.
Just give them a list of what episodes to watch. Like, go watch like the first 6.
This season is fucking appalling.
This
really is
by a fucking country mile worse than Savitar by 1,000,000%.
Yeah, this is like Next Generation Season 1 bad. Like, this is bad.
This season is, and here's its biggest crime. Two biggest crimes. One, it's fucking stupid, and I wish I had a nicer way of saying that that's more eloquent, but it's just stupid.
No, it's really dumb.
This season is directionless. There's obviously no objective, and we're, 2 episodes left?
I have it up in front of me. There are 5 episodes left of this season.
Oh,
Fuck
there
my
are
life.
5 episodes left.
well, we have to have the
this
last
season-
meta.
Oh, no. Oh, who cares? Because next week they're fighting DeVoe. They already showed
Right.
the trailer.
And then the episode after that is called, okay, Connor, you're going to get real.
Oh,
The
yeah,
next
isn't
episode
his-
is called Fury Rogue.
Well, because his wife, who's a scientist, is also like a samurai.
Oh yeah, no, that
They
makes
show
sense.
her sword fighting, and what? When does she have time to study that when
don't
she's
know.
building his chair
I don't know.
and also getting like mind?
Sure.
Yeah, this season's
Sure.
Okay,
bad.
let me just go down the list of things that pissed me off. The chair, the acting, the fact that we still know what the fuck DeVoe is doing, Barry being a dick, fucking Breacher showing up and Danny Trejo giving a fucking Alzheimer-induced performance.
About like the Hawaiian shirt.
Cisco and Caitlin being useless. Everyone else being useless. And lots of plot threads are just dangling out in the middle of nowhere that have not been advanced for like 6 fucking weeks.
Wow.
The
Maybe
best part of this episode was Jane Silent Bob
That's
in the
true.
beginning.
That's accurate.
I didn't even emote.
And
The
he's
best thing about this episode is whatever the hell they're doing with Harry.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
that is a total red herring. Like, because my wife was like, "Oh, wait, is that Eobard?" I'm like, "No, he's just pretending."
Yeah, no, he's pretending.
Okay,
no, he's pretending.
Is he pretending,
He's
or is he pretending to
pretending.
pretend?
No, he's pretending.
No,
he's not.
I
Okay.
think Wells is pretending to be Eobard as
Right.
Wells.
Yes, he is pretending to be Wells the Bard at that moment. He is not He has not been replaced by Eobard again. That's not what this is. He's using the fact that he has the same face and the same voice, and that he has access to plenty of footage of their world's Harrison Wells to take advantage of Gideon in that room and the power that is contained in that room.
Oh no, we're gonna see how this goes.
No,
'cause Reverse
okay,
Flash is
but
still
here's
running
the
around
thing.
out there right now.
Here's the thing. I don't think that this doesn't mean that this isn't leading to Eobard. This is 100% leading to Eobard. There's no
way around
question
it.
that this is not leading to Eobard. I think this somehow leads to Eobard getting like grafted into his mind somehow. Possibly.
Okay.
I could see that definitely happening. I could see, who knows, Eobard might have had all kinds of plans to bring himself back to life.
The only thing what I can think of is that he's gonna have the the thinker create the negative speed force for him and steal it.
That's a possibility. I could see that.
But I think Wells is using the Gideon to like up the thinking cap, and he's just gonna fry his brain, and that's how we lose Angry Wells.
Yeah, and then again, like some sort of, I think Wells thought he thought so many steps ahead. Like he thought way ahead, and I think that might be why
here's
he
the
smiled
thing.
during that flashback.
Yes, and the other thing is like that. I'm just about to mention that flashback. The Clifford DeVoe, big fan of your work.
Yeah,
like that's a future reference. That's because you know what's going to happen.
And remember, what has DeVoe been doing that's been pissing us off this entire season?
Nothing.
Everything.
No, he's been changing bodies, guys. He's been.
Oh, but this one has that sweet accent.
But here's the thing: how could that technology be used for somebody else? Do you get what I'm saying?
And what Eobard had was a much more miniaturized version of that. So
yeah, I could definitely see it being something like that, where like he saved a computerized version of himself somewhere possibly, and he ends up taking over Harry's body, which would be interesting, especially if like Harry is still in there. That would be
Just like a
interesting-
superior
See, and
Spider-Man.
this is how I think Crisis Reverse Flash got his body.
Possibly. I don't know about. I still think he just stole the wells on that Earth. I really do. I think he just. There's a wells on every Earth. That one was a scientist. He stole that one's body. I think he is like farther in the future though.
Yeah,
definitely. But yeah. This is all leading to Wells coming back by the end of the season. Or
But anyway,
like,
this is
the last
all
10
this
minutes.
is all uplifting, wishful thinking.
Yeah.
Because everything else about this episode and this season has been nothing but fucking frustrating. Like I honestly feel like Barry has done fuck all the whole season.
Well, because Barry's being a douche. Like, he's like, it's my way or the highway. You're benched. You get to go sit in the chamber and pout.
He's kind of turning into Iris, like more and more with each episode.
Wow.
Maybe when that guy switched her like powers, he got a little bit of her like annoying shittiness.
Yeah.
I'm over the filler. I'm over the bad fucking metas. Oh my god.
No.
Trust me,
So here's
Null
the
was
thing.
bad, but Null was not my least favorite thing about the episode.
I didn't really care about Null. Like, she was no worse than Fart Man for the first season or whatever.
Oh, Nimbus?
Nimbus.
Dude, I was asking the entire episode. I was like, where are the metas like Mirror Master, Nimbus?
No, Mirror Master's heads and tails above Nimbus. Nimbus is terrible still, even now. But like, what happened to characters like Girder though? Not zombie Girder.
Well, Girder died.
Girder died.
But you know what I mean, like characters that are that interesting at least. Like,
Well, that brings up whatever happened.
Characters that don't require fucking Willy Wonka-esque shenanigans to
I mean,
deal
like
with.
reusing the rogues, except they killed one. One is also on another show, and then the other ones are all throwaway characters.
Yep.
yeah, but they could bring back Weather Wizard and easily.
Weather
They could
Wizard is still
recast
around.
him.
Golden Glider is still around. You
That's
may not like it,
True.
but
They
Nimbus
used
is still
Trickster
around.
again.
Girl who can teleport is still around.
Oh, Peekaboo.
Yeah.
Whatever. I can't remember. Did Nuclear Joe, the repairman or the truck driver,
Fallout Bob?
did he go to jail or was he?
He was sent to a dead Earth so he can go blow up by himself.
No,
That's
he's
it.
he's in the. Isn't he in the? What's it called? Fuck.
The metahuman wing at Iron Heights?
No, he's not even there. He's
The
in
pipeline.
Yeah, he's in the pipeline.
No, they don't use the pipeline anymore. They,
They
send
do
everybody
for
to
No, they just put
for
the
some people they do though.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
some because some people are so dangerous that they can't even put them in the metahuman wing.
But they also don't trust the prison anymore as well,
That's also true.
because they put Null in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Boo.
And again, still, why have they not repaired the building?
I don't know.
It bugs me every episode. The guy has super speed. They had 3 people with super speed at one point there. It takes 5 minutes.
Here's the thing.
Repair
You
your
have,
hole.
you have 3 people with super speed and access to the late Harrison Wells' money and infrastructure. Fix the fucking building. It's technically yours.
Yes. Like, why? I don't understand why they don't. Like, it doesn't make any sense. to
And
me.
like they always wonder, like, how do people keep getting to the building? Because there's a big fucking hole in the front of it. That's fucking why. Okay. It's like there's a quest in Dark Souls 2 where you're supposed to get a key for a blacksmith so he can get back into his shop and continue working. The problem with that quest is you look at his house and there's a massive 3-person size hole in the side of his house, and you're like, why the fuck don't you just walk in there? Same problem with Star Labs.
Did they just, like, all I can think of is that the person who was the head writer for this show is gone, and no one else that's there gives a shit.
No, here's my thing. We thought last year with Savitar that they didn't know, like they scrambled to, like kind of make heads or tail of this seemingly through the creative process. I don't think anyone ever got to heads or tails with DeVoe.
No, because
I think they were like, yeah, we're gonna do the thinker.
Yeah.
And if
And
they
that's
did,
it.
they came up with a villain and
Yeah.
an end goal and nothing in between.
and then
Yeah.
Kreisberg was revealed to be a creep, and then everything fell
Yeah.
apart.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Lou's on the right page with that. Like, I think the fact that, as we've said in previous episodes, Guggenheim is like on 4 phones at the same time. Like,
Well, from the beginning, I believe Kreisberg was the guy running Flash from the jump.
yes.
So the only thing I can think of is that like the guy that was running everything, even though he was a shithead, if he's gone, does anybody give a shit about that show that's like still there?
It's just all in Guggenheim's hands.
Yeah, it's
Actually,
a show without a showrunner.
Maybe in a weird way, this is the writers punishing the show because this was Guggenheim, or not Guggenheim, this was Kreisberg's baby, and they're just like, you know what, fuck it up, family. Let's just do whatever.
I would laugh my ass off if they just doubled down on the whole evil speedster thing. And after Sabotage, they're like, no more evil speedsters. And after fucking DeVoe, they're like, okay, we're gonna do a lot more evil speedsters. Clearly, we don't know what the fuck we're doing.
Nothing but evil speedsters all the time.
We're gonna give it Godspeed. We're gonna bring Reverse Flashback.
That's the kind of bad lesson that they would learn from my experience. So whatever. I mean, they'll have like 5 evil speedsters next season.
It's not like there's like source material that they can go and see. Like, all right, what Flash stories do people really like? And let's just copy and paste.
Come on.
Here's the problem with that. They did Flashpoint in a single episode.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that goes to like when you talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did a Flashpoint-esque thing, and they took a half a season.
Mm-hmm.
It's last season, not this one. And although that show has a lot of problems, they did it in a way that I was like, fuck you, Flash. Like, they did such a good job with it. I was like, why did you do this to us?
Flashpoint is like one of the biggest events in DC history. And in the TV show, it's just a thing they like to make a cheeky reference to. That's it.
It's like even in a couple years when they do Crisis eventually, and they will. Like they're heading towards it. It's like if they just resolved Crisis in the first episode of the crossover.
Yeah.
So they kill Supergirl, and then the next episode we get Supergirl Earth 1.
Yeah.
No, it'll be Supergirl carrying dead Superman.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It totally will be because that's how they use Superman in these shows.
Yep.
I mean,
and he's the best Superman in like 30 years.
Will we get to see Barry blow himself up and then have Wally take over?
And here's the thing.
Hope.
Here's the thing. We already saw that too, and he came back the next episode.
I know. It's
I would
so
love
weird.
to see like
Barry already died via disintegration and came right back. And then the next season, he did Flashpoint in a single episode.
Yeah, but
and then the next
remnants.
season, they did Flash Rebirth in a single episode.
But the time remnants. They still have everything.
Time remnants, yes.
Calcified
What I
time.
would love to see them do is just to have like Wally West show up, the other one, and just be like, "Oh, I was from that other timeline."
Ooh.
And then everybody just be like, "What? Which one?" Well, not the pre-Flashpoint, but the actually pre-Eobard killing your mom.
Oh damn. That's a good
Because like
point.
In the story of the thing, you have to remember, like we're watching the 3rd tangent universe that's happened in this universe, right?
That's very true.
Technically,
Because this show exists.
At least 3, if not like 5.
This show exists as an alternate timeline to DC's mainline Flash because Eobard goes back sooner than he was supposed to. And his plan fails, so then he has to make Barry become the Flash earlier than he did in DC's main universe.
Right. And
then in season 1, he negates the timeline with the tidal wave shows up.
Yeah.
So that's convergence number. It's not convergence. That's like
tangent.
That's divergence number 2. Then you have Flashpoint, that's technically 3, and then he comes back from Flashpoint. Everything's different. That's number 4.
Right. And meanwhile, DeVoe was paying attention to all of this, if we're supposed to interpret all of this correctly.
At this point, DeVoe is too busy eating beef jerky and listening to Leonard Skinner.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with DeVoe right now.
All right. Let's talk about the fucking we've called it the series of diminishing returns. This is the most diminished return.
What's going on? What is happening?
There's nothing evil or menacing or even close to intimidating coming out of that woman. She's like, all right, my chair's almost done. Howdy doody.
No, here's the thing. I will give her credit for every single time when Marliese finds out that she's made that audio file before.
Mm-hmm.
She delivers her monologue from that moment forward fine enough.
Because that's what you want out of a TV show you watch every week.
What I'm just saying, like compared to how bad it could be, that was fine. I've seen worse. I've seen people deliver lines far worse than that. But the way she's delivered, it's so weird. You find it every single time. It was fine, but it was still disappointing.
But here's my question: if you have a giant supercomputer, why would you have a recipe for lemonade on it?
I don't understand. I don't understand.
We are,
It's like
and
asking
now-
someone.
Now we are at the root of the problem. Nothing about DeVoe makes any sense.
Why does DeVoe need her to design the chair? Why?
Because he's got
Too busy.
ALS.
He's too busy.
He's a super genius. He can think faster than anyone. He should just be able to design the chair, and then she can.
Here's the problem. Because it would make sense for him to build a robot body, but we already kind of saw that last season.
I don't. If it's him, but they bring back the guy who's playing him, and they just capture his face, I'm in. Just put his head on top of a robot body. There's not this weird Savitar wasn't bad because of his weird Megatron design.
Savitar was bad because they dragged out the reveal, and the reveal was toothless.
Right, and it was
Like
also
we
bad.
we understand Savitar. His plan was dumb.
Right.
And then they kept changing the rules of his background, motivations, and plan. But at the end of the day, you still kind of understood and kept up with what he was doing and why. With DeVoe, we're like, I don't know I don't know what you're doing, why you're doing it, how you're doing it, what the long-term plan is. I knew nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Savitar's biggest offense is we've covered a million times. This is calcified Speed Force. It
Right.
wasn't what that's not what it was before, but now it is.
So if his plan is to gather all these things, why does he need someone that can make stuff lighter?
I don't know. This is the thing. None of these powers fit together in a way that makes sense.
Well, some of them make sense for supervillain, like the
Right.
luck power. That is very powerful.
The
and
shrinking power has always made sense to me. That's a great
and
power to have.
The tech
the-
power is
the
the one
tech
that makes
power.
the most sense.
Because it's filling. It's that's giving him a power he had in the books, so that makes complete sense.
Making things lighter and the bringing statues to life are the two dumbest things ever.
I keep on forgetting about the statues.
Yeah.
We're shrinking things. Why do you really need to shrink things?
No, okay, but I understand the practical reason to have it. though. It's a
Transportive
very-
materials.
Yes, it's a very powerful thing to have. Maybe he's planning on shrinking the entire Earth. Oh God, I just figured it out, didn't I?
He's fucking.
He's Brainiac?
He's gonna shrink all the people because of climate change. It's
Well, he
the
keeps saying
plot to
it's-
downsizing.
He's wants to do this enlightenment. Is that what he keeps saying?
Okay.
Enlightenment.
Yeah.
So that's the
something
thing.
along those lines.
He can't. Every single time they talk about his plan.
Does he the only thing I think is he can send out some weird psychic wave to make everyone smarter? But,
Maybe.
Who knows?
But why?
Okay, here's what we know. He sees bigger problems in the world than what the Flash deals with. Okay, that's a completely reasonable thing to say. Sure.
Hey, guess what? Most people do.
Right. Most of us agree with that.
You're not special, DeVoe.
Why does he... and this is a question I keep on asking, but we haven't gotten an answer. Why did he need to get rid of Barry in order to save the world? If you're really saving the world, why do you need to get rid of a superhero?
Why do you need to get rid of? Why do you need to get rid of what's essentially a fucking demigod who has control over time, space, and can solve multiple problems at once? Why not just manipulate him?
Right.
Well, hey, just to go to a more minute version of what the fuck's going on with DeVoe, remember when he loved his wife?
Right.
Remember when they were a team?
Fuck. Remember when you were like,
Well,
that's
that was
a villain. That's
That was
a
4
couple.
bodies ago.
Yeah.
He's been a chick twice. He's discovering himself.
Right.
There are things going on in my body.
Well, now he's like in a country chick, so now he's all weird and conservative.
God damn it.
He's like, I woke up today and just really didn't like black people for some reason. I can't understand.
So the female orgasm is a myth. to
Well,
him
he
now.
is South African, so that might have been there before.
Oh no!
I don't like this. I'm uncomfortable.
Oh no!
Okay, I'm done hating on Flash. I don't know if anybody else
I'd
thinks to say, but like,
Alright.
I think
yeah.
we're all just exhausted by Flash
I
That's
am
at this
exhausted.
point.
I'm ready to shoot the show out of the fucking cannon. I'm like,
The only
Yeah.
thing
this
that's
was
like
my
gives me
favorite show on TV, and now I'm like, oh, fuck you and everything you stand for.
it's just so weird to me that Ralph is the only thing I'm getting any enjoyment out of, and it's in a very like, he's literally like a joke in this
Yeah.
garbage. Like I don't even know how to explain it.
I've grown to like him more and more as the series has gone on, and I want him to stick around past this season.
Oh, he's getting Julianed.
But here's the thing: he doesn't
And
have
here's-
anything
and here's
else
why.
to do with it.
No, he's
Here's
making-
why I know that. Here's why I know that, because he made a pass at Caitlyn. And if you make a pass at Caitlyn, you have
That's-
two directions you're going
That's
to go
true.
to. You're going to die or you're going to leave the show.
Or you become
just
a
send him
defunct
to
theory
Legend.
about Savitar years down the
Just-
line.
Send him to Legends.
Yeah.
You know what? That's a good pick. That's a good.
Well, we've said it before on the show that Legends is just the place that welcomes you with a warm hug. Like
That,
they don't know how to use you, we'll take you.
Yeah.
What's it the Christmas movie with all the claymation, the Land of Forgotten
Oh,
Toys
yeah.
or whatever, Misfit
Yeah.
Toys.
Yeah, that's Legends. All right.
Hey, thanks everybody. Stick around for the Phantom Zone. This week's CW was hit and miss. Kind of. All right, well, stick around. We're having an after dark recording for you coming up soon. So, bye.
Bye.